Part 2. Between Athens and Jerusalem, the roots of Nietzsche's rebellion. To understand the full force of Nietzsche's aphorism, we must place it against the vast backdrop of Western thought. Nietzsche did not write in a vacuum. He was reacting violently, passionately, to a tradition he saw as decaying. At the heart of that tradition was a moral and metaphysical inheritance Nietzsche traced back to two sources, Athens and Jerusalem. From Athens we received philosophy, the rational pursuit of truth. Socrates, with his dialectics and his insistence on ethical inquiry, was the godfather of Western reason. From Jerusalem we inherited religion, above all, Christianity, with its emphasis on compassion, humility, sin, and redemption. Nietzsche saw both as corrupted by what he called life-denying instincts. In The Birth of Tragedy, his first major work, Nietzsche contrasts the Apollonian and the Dionysian, two forces he believed shaped Greek culture. The Apollonian represents order, clarity, rationality. The Dionysian stands for chaos, ecstasy, suffering, and creative destruction. Socrates, in Nietzsche's view, overthrew the Dionysian spirit with a shallow rationalism. He made reason into a tyrant. He turned away from the tragic beauty of life and insisted instead on dialectic and virtue. Nietzsche did not despise reason per se, but he believed that when reason becomes detached from life, from instinct, from the body, it becomes a prison. With Christianity, the problem was even worse. For Nietzsche, Christianity was a slave morality. It glorified weakness, praised suffering for its own sake, and turned resentment, envy, and bitterness into virtue. Here, we see the deeper meaning of what does not kill me makes me stronger. It is not just a statement about individual endurance, it is a rejection of victimhood as a moral ideal. Nietzsche is saying, strength is not sin, ambition is not evil, suffering is not to be worshipped, but overcome. In this way, the aphorism stands as a declaration of war against pity, against moralism, against all those values that Nietzsche believed had made Europe sick. It is a call to reclaim vitality, not to deny pain, but to refuse to be defined by it. The psychology of becoming. Let us now turn inward, to the soul. In many ways, Nietzsche anticipates modern psychology. Long before Freud or Jung, he understood that the human mind is not transparent to itself, that consciousness is not the ruler, but a surface, that beneath our moral convictions lie instincts, drives, traumas, and shadows. And so, when Nietzsche speaks of becoming stronger, he is not speaking only of physical endurance or social resilience. He is speaking of psychological integration. This is where we can bring in the metaphor of the shadow, later made famous by Carl Jung. The shadow is the part of ourselves we disown, the rage, the fear, the pain, the jealousy, the grief. What we refuse to face, we repress. But what we repress does not disappear. It festers. It controls us from below. Nietzsche understood this. He saw that most people avoid their suffering not because they are weak, but because they are afraid of what it will show them about themselves. To become stronger, in Nietzsche's sense, is to turn toward the shadow, to descend into the dark, to bring up what we've buried, to integrate what we fear. This is not therapy in the modern sense. It is something deeper. something mythic. The ancient Greeks had a word for this journey: katabasis, the descent into the underworld. Heroes like Orpheus, Odysseus, and Hercules all ventured into the realm of the dead. But the true underworld is within, and the descent is psychological. Nietzsche's Zarathustra speaks again and again of descending, of going under, of breaking down, and always of rising again. Each fall is a test, each crisis is a gateway. The abyss is not the end, it is the place of transformation. What does not kill me makes me stronger is, in this light, a map of the soul's descent and return. It is a mythic pattern, a spiral of death and rebirth, against fragility. In the modern world, we often speak of trauma, of safe spaces, of triggers, of protection. These are not bad things. There is wisdom in being kind to ourselves. There is value in healing. But Nietzsche asks us to question, are we confusing fragility for virtue? Are we making weakness into an identity? He warns against a culture of moralized suffering, a culture in which victimhood is power and pain is proof of righteousness. For Nietzsche, this is the worst outcome. It is not just that we suffer, but that we learn to cling to our suffering, to wear it like a badge, to use it as a weapon, to demand that others accommodate our wounds rather than challenging ourselves to grow beyond them. This is not to blame the wounded. Nietzsche does not mock the broken. He himself was broken. What he offers is not condemnation, but challenge. He is saying, your pain is,